Well, I'm glad we're all just kind of hanging out here today. So is the ship, as it's hanging out, potentially maybe being restacked. There's a lot going on right now. Let's talk about it on Countdown to Launch.
And here we go. We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be normal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Traveling up. Roger, with planet.
Water towers fly! Yes!
Tango down to nominal.
Fighting downside SPD off. Bring in SPD off. It's orange!
R45! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage. Put that in the big bag,
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
If methane would be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You bet. We don't need any more of these.
Welcome everybody to NSF's Countdown to Launch, a show that we were hoping to not have to be doing by now because that we would be launching. But since the rocket is still on the ground, we are still here to provide the latest updates ahead of Starship Flight 8 and its next flight attempt. And boy, if you have not been keeping up with Starbase Live for the last couple of hours, you are in for quite a shock. I am Sawyer Rosenstein. I will be your host for this Countdown to Launch. You'll see why we went early in just a couple of minutes, but when I say we, that means there are multiple people joining me. Let's see, who do we have on screen first that's joining me today? We have Adrian. How's it going, Adrian?
Hello, everybody. Yeah, we accelerated the go live for this one. Absolutely, as Sawyer said. There is honestly at least two very big stories to talk about here. There is a lot of things we will have to talk about the implications about if there's launch tomorrow. We will see. Honestly, it's going quite fine, quite interesting right now, and we will talk about it and if there's a launch tomorrow.
Exactly. Hopefully there will be. And hopefully also joining us today to talk about this potential launch tomorrow is Alex. How's it going, Alex?
Took a bit of effort to unmute, but yeah, I'm right here looking at the pictures from our team and everything out there, trying to figure out a way of how to explain this to people that are watching right now. So yeah, because we're gonna talk about the stuff that's been happening, right? And so I need to think about a way of doing this that is not another 8-minute rant on something. So yeah.
An 8-minute rant on something? No, never. So here's a look at what's going on live currently at Starbase as we are now, as it's correctly pointing out, 25 hours and 40 minutes till the opening of the next launch attempt. So they had gone to restack the ship and booster today. So they went to lift the ship, they started to stack, then they destacked, then it was kind of just hanging out. And now it looks like with a little bit of effort on the sticks, it is moving. So, Adrian, can you kind of give us a rundown of why they stack, destack, and restack, and the couple of issues that we have seen pop up over the last couple of hours?
Absolutely, and I will, of course, Alex will probably add much more to this, but I will first describe this as two separate issues, actually. Because while people maybe think, oh, there was like one issue they worked on, there's two. The first thing is, why did they abort the stack? They aborted the stack because apparently one of the, the railings or the guidance that will, on the hot staging ring, pins, basically the thing that connects the ship between the hot staging ring and the ship, one of these parts came a bit loose and went flying away. We actually spotted that on Starbase Live. It happened just as they were like very close, like it was like a few more inches away from being full stacked, and suddenly, wait, there was a part flying away. So it seems that after some inspections and everything, they aborted the stack. That was the first thing that happened. the second thing that then suddenly happened is that the ship was not put down. So, well, that's expected, right? They could have like lifted in the air and then maybe like look at the clamp from the bottom and maybe fix it, go up again. However, then they started to work on the chopsticks because apparently the chopsticks were also or looked to be a bit stuck. We saw them do some wiggle testing with the chopsticks a bit. We saw them. There was a grinder involved. I will spoiler that. And it almost looks like the ship, the chopsticks had a bit too much friction to move up, and they made sure to reduce that friction using a grinder. So first aborting a stack and then almost not getting it stacked again and having a tall ship stuck in the middle of the air.
Yeah, it's a rough one when they are having an angle grinder out working on the chopstick arm area while it is under load carrying the ship.
Yes.
That's a little scary.
Yes.
But it appears they're starting to restack now, at least.
I mean, honestly, this is the best news we have heard. Like, the funny thing is, the moment we go live here, this is almost the best news we've heard now for multiple hours, because now it looks like if somebody's turning in late, they're like, oh, what is NSF about? They're just restacking, right? Yeah, just wind down like the last 5 hours on Starbase update, Starbase Live, then we'll see. So yeah, it looks good now. We will talk about the implication for tomorrow, probably way down later in the show.
Yeah, so let's talk about the first part, because we just kind of briefly mentioned the chopsticks there. And one of the issues when they originally stacked is somewhat visible in this angle, which thank you, Jay Keegan, by the way, for producing today. Alex, can you talk about the kind of first issue that we saw near the hot stage ring area?
Yeah, so when the first went up, so just to recap also what happened this morning, like that ship this morning was still not stacked. We woke up, right, and it was already daylight and that ship was still on the ground. SpaceX confirmed also this morning that they are attempting now Thursday, tomorrow essentially, right? But then all of this came after that, and so it was like, oh. So then they tried to stack it, to prepare for flight and everything. And what happened is that those there's like 4 pins on the hot staging ring. One of them apparently had a bit of an incident with the ship itself. I don't know, maybe if Jay has those clips for later, but we'll go about all of the different things that we have prepared for today. Also, I have my own Alex art ready to go as well, and so. That's the pin. There you can see. Thank you, Jay. And so that's the famous pin that was I guess at the culprit here at the beginning. So when they stack the ship, right, they have on the hot staging ring there are 4 different pins. 3 of them have a hook, and you can actually see that hook right over there in the middle. And so that hook is what keeps on 3 of those pins, 3 hooks essentially, is what keeps those 2 stages clamped together. But what is all of this that you can see here, those 2 things there? Well, that's essentially like a guide for the ship to come down. There's in fact a 4th pin that doesn't have the hook. It only has that shape. So we think it's used for that whole purpose of guiding it down. Now, that guide, however, you cannot just simply put the ship down and put it there without no protections. So that's why you see, for example, this black thing here. The other one on the right is the one that fell off the hot staging ring earlier today in that first stack attempt. They were trying to align the ship, and it seems like at some point they sort of knocked it out and it fell off. And so they were probably looking at multiple things. So one of the problems is this thing is bolted. So there's like bolts over there, right? It's a nice thing that the other one kept being there. I'm trying to... there. So there's like bolts there. There's also like another bolt down there. And so if it's knocked out and now those bolts, those holes for the bolts are distorted or something, you cannot put another one down on that place, right? Because you could think, well, you just put another one, a new one, and you're fine with that. So then let's stack it and go. The problem is if that is not like if those holes are just essentially thrown off the shape and everything, those bolts cannot be bolted again, right? And so that's one of the things that they were probably looking at. They went up through the quick disconnect arm. They went up to the hot staging ring, looked at the place. I don't know if maybe we have some of those pictures as well from Max that show workers up there trying to look at the piece of hardware and making sure of that. If that were not to be the case, if for whatever reason that place would not have been in proper shape to put another piece and be able to stack again, that would have meant probably changing the entire pin structure there on the hot staging ring. And so this is one of those things that we kept a close eye, and then lo and behold, now there's some chopstick thing. They were upgrinding one of the pieces of the carriage system. I will go to that later in the show, of course, because now being Jay, it's going, yeah, it's already showing this here, this work. You can see there, so there's skates, and then there's like extensions that go up on those skates. The whole of the carriage system that holds those two chopsticks, they go on rails, and so they need those skates. And it seems like they're just stuck there, that sometimes it's a bit jittery. It sort of goes in jumps as it goes up. So they were trying to grind some of that and trying to some people were worried about it potentially falling off or even coming out of the track. It's actually the opposite. It's too stuck on the track to be able to go up that rail. And so it's essentially that work is to get it unstuck from there and being able to continue. But yeah. And they have continued. They're already up.
And I also want to, like, I'm not sure, Jay. I'm sorry. Jay is like having a hard show right now because we are just going A to B. But there is a video I think we got when they went up. I'm not sure if we have that ready, but you can see literally. Look at that.
Yeah, this is from Gage, who's there.
Yeah, look at that video.
Yeah,
look at that. Like it almost lags behind a bit, right? It it jumps every time the friction. It moves up. The winch is moving it up, and every time the friction is like no longer holding it back, it jumps up again. So
I think it's safe to say that's not how it's supposed to happen.
No, but. SpaceX is a bit like between a rock and a hard place, right? Because it's like you need to place the ship somewhere, and if you feel confident enough that it moves again, one at least place it up there to get it up where you finally up. But I'm 100% sure that we will see more chopsticks inspection after this. Like, there's no way they after this stack will not look at this situation a lot more detailed.
And also, because now I can do this, the pin in question is right over there. So that's essentially, to put it in perspective, because we saw the close-up, right? And just so people can, probably a bunch of people that are watching already know this because they have been watching SPL and whatnot. But for those that may not know, that's essentially where that pin is located. And that's where we saw that piece coming off. At first, we thought it was going to be like some kind of thermal protection system tile, right? Like, that was the first thing, because it's like this little piece, black piece coming off from seemingly the flap area or the engine section of the ship. And so it was like, ooh, a tile fell off or something like that. And then it turned out to be a piece of that pin.
Yeah, which the question now is, what role does that kind of guiding part of the pin have in terms of stability? Is that a no-go for flight? I mean, obviously it seems like it's not an issue because they're going to go ahead with the stack, but what role does that guide play in the launch itself, or is it literally just to help guide it on for positioning?
Yeah, and it's not even that. It's for protection, right, Adrian? Like, it goes on top of the pin itself, of the guide, so...
It's certainly reducing a bit the guiding and protection of that pin. However, I would be very surprised if it's fully flight critical. It's a fairly minor part of the stacking. So there's a very good chance that the inspection they just did was part of determining if there was any other damage. Like, for example, if the main structure of the pin would have been completely bent, that would have been way worse. Because then you could create a situation like, oh, well, your hot staging ring just locks to the ship, while that shouldn't happen, right? So these kind of things probably what they looked at for. But I think overall we are looking at a situation, once this ship is down, they are probably fine to proceed even without the guiding in place.
This is such an interesting moment here. This is very unique. Of all the crazy things that Starship has done, this I think is a first.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this is when everybody says like, "Oh, destacking have become kind of routine." Well, this isn't one. Like the next few minutes while we observe this being placed will be quite interesting to see, because there has been, while of course the damage itself might not be a problem, there has been an initial thing that misplaced, right? It's at some point they for some reason liberated that part, so there has to be probably a let's see if they get it right this time. Let's word it like that.
That's a good way to put it. Let's see if they get it right, and we'll see if there's any more parts or anything that falls off. Now, in regards to the chopsticks, this brings up a very important question that someone pointed out here, because those are very critical for the planned booster catch. Zach is wondering, will the chopstick issue have any impact on the catch attempt? Now, I know this is all just speculation for what we've seen, but Alex, what are your thoughts?
Well, one of the things that is worth mentioning, though, is that the problem here is precisely that the track, that carriage system at that place is actually stuck, and so that's why it jitters, right? Because it sort of tries to travel up, and then it's stuck there, and that's why it does these sort of movements, right? That's essentially what you sort of experience whenever something is a bit stuck, but it can continue, like, I don't know, like a drawer or something, right? Like you're trying to get it out, and sort of it does that kind of thing if you try to pull it. So that's more or less what's happening here. I think for a catch it will not be a big of a deal. The problem will be more like when you're trying to then set up the booster back on the overall launchman, right? Because then you need to lower back down that carriage system. For the catch itself, the carriage system actually needs to stay there. If it moves, it's a bad thing, right? The booster lands on the chopsticks, and then there's a sway, and there's in fact structures that sort of keep the skates in place up there on the tower for a catch. But that's the whole deal, right? That it needs to stay in place. If it moves, it's actually the worst case scenario. You don't want it to move when that happens. The chopsticks just close. They don't move up and down, and so that carriage system needs to be in place for that catch. I think it will not be a major issue. I don't think they will be going for a launch tomorrow if they will have such an issue, because it's a booster that they could reuse in the future if they don't catch it. So like that's essentially what I think right now, that it's probably safer for them to, go for that. And if they are going for it, then it's not a big issue for the catch.
Yeah, so it's almost better to be stuck than too loose in this case.
Mm-hmm.
What were you going to say, Adrian?
I think the last 3-4 hours were more fixing the main problem right now. I think nobody at SpaceX really the last 4 hours thought about, oh, we have to make the launch happening tomorrow. I think the first thing they did was thinking about, oh, did we board the ship? Did they damage his chopsticks? Like, these are the first immediate reactions, and especially chopstick thing, like, to word it correct, like having a ship stuck in midair would have been a very bad thing for them, because the lifting points, the chopsticks are attached to lifting points. So imagine a scenario where they are really stuck. I mean, in this case, they were able to resolve it. But imagine the situation where they're really fully stuck. Well, what are you doing? You have a giant, a tall ship, so like a heavy object just stuck in midair. Like, what's your next order of operation from there? So I think this, like, the first few hours right now where let's fix this. And I think what we will now see, and I'm fairly confident about this, is the next 2 hours will be all about inspections. They still have in the grand scheme of things, over 24 hours. That's honestly quite plenty. I think what they will do next and use that time is inspect everything that was just involved. Inspect if these vehicles are fully aligned. Inspect if the chopsticks are good. I wouldn't like maybe there will be some wiggling on the chopsticks. We will see, and everything will be just get a quick inspection.
It seems like they're going to need a little more than a quick one, but take the time to do it. Now, we are almost at the point here of where that piece fell off last time, if not a little bit closer to it.
Yeah.
I mean, first off, we should probably let people know visually what happened the last time. And Alex, you can probably walk us through this.
Yeah, there you can see. I don't even need to do illustration here because it's already... Yeah. See, that's the piece right there coming off from that pin. As you can see, it seems like they tried to lower and it was not properly aligned, and that's what caused the issue. You can see on this view, see, it's not well aligned. There's a bit of a gap, and so it seems like they tried to lower it on top of the pin, and that sheared off that piece of protection. But yeah, just so people know exactly what we saw, this is what we saw during that stacking at the first, during this morning attempt, or early afternoon, I don't remember now when it was. It was a lot of hours ago, because it happened quite a while ago, and we thought, we thought today's countdown to launch was going to be, it's stacked, launch tomorrow, everybody happy, and then this happened, right? And then the chopstick thing, it's like, yeah, so it's a lot more interesting now, I guess, than just launch tomorrow.
Yeah, there was worry of, what will we do for a countdown to launch today, other than just, we're going to try again. No, SpaceX decided to help us out, apparently, and have everything break.
Yeah, it was such an interesting morning because, especially as a European perspective. So I woke up on about when it was about 4 a.m. Central. Like, that was my, I'm waking up a bit early for Eastern. That's usually what I'm aiming for. So when I woke up, it was like not confirmed yet they wouldn't go for it, but it was not stacked. So everybody that could look at Starbase Live was kinda aware it wouldn't go today. And then, of course, first the TFR happened because, hey, by the way, before all of this, we had TFRs and SpaceX confirming they're not going for... that was a whole other thing that happened the past few hours that is not even talked about because of all of this. And now, of course, I think they are already past the point where the last time that piece flew off. So I think they are now progressing so far quite smoothly with the stack.
So far, at least, this looks better from what we can tell. Of course, we're going to be using all of our cameras to keep a very close eye in as we zoom in on this and see what's going on here. Now, one of the questions that Khaled is asking, and it's a very good question, because it seemed like they were really trying to get that angle just right when that piece fell off. Is the stacking fully autonomous, they want to know? Alex?
Some portions of it look to be autonomous, or at least they have different gates, right? And so it's somewhat as if somebody in control center, right? They're like, there's a motion in between that's autonomous, and then it reaches a point in the lift where the computer is like, can I continue proceeding with the lift? And then somebody's like, yes, and then they continue, right? It seems to be that kind of thing. The last portion, though, when they align things, I have no idea, if I'm gonna be honest here, because the first portion is pretty much always the same. They lift, it moves a little bit, then they continue lifting, and then it completely goes over the booster. But then when it sets down, it seems like there might be a bit more of manual inputs here and there. This is all based on what we see, because always the lifting of the stand, it always looks the same. And so it pretty much seems like it's probably automated, where you just, there's somebody actually telling the computer, okay, you can continue to proceed, you can go to this point in the lifting and whatever, and then there's probably some kind of manual point where they can adjust and send commands. Obviously, I don't think it's somebody with a joystick. I think it's probably more like Dragon, where they have, commands that are being sent every now and then to operate. they have a lot of experience with that kind of operations, right? So I think that's probably what they're doing. The more that they can automate, of course, the better. So they're probably doing something along those lines, and what we see kind of seems to be the case.
Yeah, and we also tend to see them fly one of their SpaceX drones around too, kind of just get that vantage point all around and see, are they lined up before they do the final attachment.
And there are cameras on multiple places. They even have cameras on a quick disconnect arm. Like when they're trying to set down the ship, they deploy again the quick disconnect because it needs to go away. That arm needs to go away for the chopsticks to go through, right? That part of the tower. But once the chopsticks are beyond that and the ship is well above the booster, then they can roll back in and swing in that arm. And so there are cameras actually on the tip of the arm that they can use to help on that guidance as well.
Here we go. Speaking of guidance, here's some guidance from Shiloh with the super chat saying, Ship 26 would have been stacked by now. No.
No.
Jay.
And Ship 26 never made it to this point, and that's good.
Yeah. Imagine how cursed that would be if this is already cursed enough right now.
Yeah. I think Jay is not really agreeing with our opinion right now.
No, what gave you that idea?
Yeah. Also, like train sound
He doesn't
is
talk.
yes, and like buzzing noise is no. I get it. Okay.
He doesn't talk, but he has a soundboard, so.
There you go. And again, it looks at this point they are still not fully down yet. Maybe it's lowering a little more. It's going very slowly, but again, we expect that. Rather be slower than speeding through it. And a reminder, if you have any questions, you can tag us at NASASpaceflight, and we'll do our best to answer as many of them as we can. Like this one from Ed Forson, who's asking, what locks the Starship to the booster? Is there hydraulics? Adrian?
Well, it's these hooks. Like that's all of that is. Like if you think there's like some sort of inside part that is like locking this, that's all of this is. These hooks. That's everything. And of course the weight of the stack and the ship. Like it helps also by the fact that there's some amount of weight that is laying down on this. That is also pushing this, which to be fair is also a thing that the booster is using late in the countdown, because we know late in the countdown they completely let it free and it's just resting there because it's a heavy booster. It's actually quite super heavy.
Now, Alex, you had your magic pen in the air.
Yeah, but I think we're seeing the final set down of that ship. I'm looking also, at the gap. It looks like it mostly disappeared. But yeah, you have like the pin, right? The guiding thing, and then in the middle, there's like this little thing. Hang on, let me see if this can. Oh, we're doing it live. There's like something here. I'm trying to draw it. So there's the pin in the yellow, right? That triangle thing on the top, and then in the middle there's like that purple structure that I badly drawn there. That's essentially like a hook in the middle that there is, and there are 3 of these pins with a hook in the middle. And once it's fully stacked and everything, and it's all set down, we can probably go back to those pictures from Max showing the pin. It also shows that hook. But yeah, there are 3 hooks, and that's essentially what keeps the full stack together. It might seem that that's not enough. Oh, thank you. So yeah, this little thing here is one of those is there, and then there's like another 2 pins 120 degrees apart from each other. And so, yeah, 3 of those. It seems like it's not much, but trust me, Flight 1 showed that those 3 pins do hold those things together.
True.
Yep.
Now can we draw a giraffe?
Nope, I'm not doing that.
Throwback on that one. But anyway, yes, it looks
great.
like it's down at this point.
Yeah, it does look down.
It's at least like sometimes there's like a final bump where it suddenly is like completely placed. or like shivers into place. But it's mostly, and the next thing we will see is the ship QD arm connecting and slowly moving in, and then after what has been a bit of a morning, they have and to be fair, also most of the rest of the day, they will have a ship stacked.
Yeah.
So oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I believe the first part that we noticed falling off happened at about 10:46 a.m. Central Time, and it is now 4:15 p.m. Central Time.
Yeah. I would like to point out one thing, because somebody said, oh, well, but Flight 1 didn't have a hot staging ring. It still has the same pins as the top of the booster. So the booster here, down here in this interface, it also has the same sort of pins to be able to connect to the hot staging ring. So when there was no hot staging ring, the ship was still being pinned or hooked to that booster via the same interface. It's just that, the hot staging ring just has a copy of that also above it. So
basically
it
the lower part of the hot staging ring is as equal as the ship would be on that area, and the upper part of the hot staging ring is as if there was a booster there. They just built like a middle connector.
All right. Let me take a second here to thank some people. OI9, thank you for becoming a Capcom member. Capcom and above gets access to the NSF Discord. So hopefully you'll be able to join us in there to chat about all different things space, as well as pre and post shows for the Flame Trench. So we'll see you there. That girl Hannah, thank you for becoming a Padrat member. Ben Creasy, this is a bit of a low blow, but saying they want airliner reliability, they got Starliner reliability.
We also just got a SpaceX email that is confirming that there is a noise and sonic boom advisory, and they are still targeting March 6th for the 8th launch of Starship, with the 60-minute test window opening at 5:30 p.m. Central. So that's confidence?
Yeah.
sounds like a confirmation of sorts, right?
Yeah, that almost feels like sending a message, right? Is that just me, or like the moment the stack is down there, like, yeah, we're still going for tomorrow, by the way.
Yeah, of course. Poor Jay. We were gonna give him time to pull it up on the screen, and we got it out there. Sorry, Jay. I know we're messing with your show today, but that is important news. And even the train by me agrees. That is good news that we have the advisories. Yes, double train action.
It is quite a day.
Yeah. Lava, thank you for gifting 5 Red Team memberships, and a reminder that members of any level here get access to the members multi-view. So you get access to all of our different cameras that we have at Starbase rotating through for all these countdown to launches, and especially on launch day tomorrow. You will get that in addition to the behind the scenes view, where you get to hear Kevin Michael Reed, the voice of God, calling the shots as we go throughout the day. So make sure you check that out. Echo Deal saying, well, since the best part is no part, clearly this coming off is an improvement. Got some witty people coming in here today with the support, I gotta say. Roseanne Devasto, are the chopsticks operated manually? That's kind of what we were just talking about before there with the stacking, right? That's mostly computer controlled as opposed to a joystick, right?
Yeah, it's I don't think that, like as Alex said, there's no joystick. It's predetermined inputs that are modified closer to the touchdown. It's like a main sequence, and then they're like, go down by 5, go left by 2, and do that over and over again until they get it stacked. That's most likely what it is.
Yeah, kind of like, I assume, like they do for the Martian rovers. It's, here's what we want you to do. They wait to see the result, and then they send the command, all right, go a little further, maybe a little further, maybe back up a bit, that kind of thing.
Yep. Yep.
St. Miles.
And
what?
And sorry, and this morning it was more like the SpongeBob scene where they try to park the boat, and it's like going further and grinding down, whatever.
Backing up.
People will get that reference.
Backing up.
Yep.
St. Miles, if it is broke, just put up the next one. Put it down as a new iteration. Again, very clever super chats today, including this one from Shiloh who says, "Hey, full stack. So, new patch reveal?" For those.
Flight
We are
9
not doing
patch.
We are not doing one patch for every stack. Like I get the connection, but no, we are not even starting that. We are doing one patch for every flight. And to be fair, we are in the last third of that patch. And tomorrow is potentially a flight stream, which will result in a lot of more people getting it. So I recommend really have that in mind.
Yeah. If you want to get a chance to get your own patch for Starship Flight 8 from NSF here, make sure you go to shop.nasaspaceflight.com and order soon because, as Adrian mentioned, supplies are low. And as with all of our past patches, we do not reprint them. So once they are gone, they are gone. If you missed one from the past flights, we're sorry. Same with this one. If you do run out, we're trying to give you a fair warning to get it while you can. And I love the design on this one. Jacques, who designed it, is someone who just happened to be a viewer and a fan who had this brilliant idea, made it into fantastic work here with the dummy link deploys, with the planetary alignment, and you can read all of these tiny little details too on the shop that explains how each of these are done. So I think that's a really cool addition. And again, that's at shop.nasaspaceflight.com.
Is it? Oh, sorry.
No,
I was,
go ahead.
I was looking at the patch and I was thinking, is it the first time we do a nighttime patch? Because it's supposed to show the sunrise and sunset, right? Like it's supposed to be at the time of Starlink deployment, which is pretty much during nighttime. So yeah, there you go.
I guess it is.
Yeah,
that's
the glow, the Earth glow right there is usually what you see right at sunrise or sunset, and usually means jellyfish. But
yeah.
But yeah.
It is. A little behind the scenes story. The moment SpaceX confirmed that they go for 4 instead of 10, Alex, I think DM'd me a few seconds later. How glad are you? We only have 3 Starlink satellites on the
Instead
patch.
of anymore. Yeah, because I think
imagine if they go down to 2.
Can we link here that at least the original ideas contain more than 3? And then we reduce that
would have been
to 3.
That would have been
Yeah.
bad.
yeah. There you go, a little behind the scenes baseball. Anyway, here's a question from Scott Sims, because we showed the video earlier of them using the angle grinder on the arms as they were kind of stuck in the air at that point. They want to know, are the workers allowed on site during stacking? How close are the SpaceX employees allowed to get during that operation? Alex?
Well, as close as literally being in the engine section of the ship, right? We've seen even people on lifts next to a mostly completed full stack. Like on flight 2, I remember they had also issues with aligning the ship and the booster. Like today, that's nothing compared to some of the troubles that they have had aligning these 2 vehicles in the past. That upper stage and that booster. And on flight 2, I remember they went even up with lifts to look at some of the alignment and everything. And so they've been rather close to these things when they were, or even on the tower itself as well, to be able to work on things. But it's usually a small team of people that are, very well aware of where they're getting to, right? And what situation they are in. But yeah.
Yeah. I think it's almost the stacking equivalent of a red team. Like, can you say that? It's like, probably a very, very low amount of people, very skilled, very trained, and also very careful and aware of what they're doing.
I will say that's probably not the most dangerous. That's one of the shots from this early afternoon, I guess, because it's at 1 p.m. You can see there the Starbase Live clock. And they are literally below the ship as it is hanging off the chopsticks, right? I will still say this is not the most dangerous that you can see any of these people out there doing. There's been people out there with a fully active tank farm going out to repair something. And we've seen that on other rockets as well. Like on Artemis 1, we saw that with SLS as well, with a fully fueled SLS rocket and a red team going out there and trying to fix some ground support equipment, piece, right? And so it's like there are people that are dedicated to this kind of work, very risky work, but of course very necessary for when things break down.
Yeah, and you saw, as pointed out, the shot earlier with the lift, and then Max Evans getting this shot of them literally on the hot stage ring just a couple hours ago.
Next to that pin. You can even see the guiding
missing.
rail missing.
Yep.
Alex, do we need to circle that?
Well, right now it's stuck. I need to refresh, but
That's
sure.
okay.
See here. There you go.
I love how Alex uses like different colors every time.
Oh,
he
it's
draws one.
because
It's like it went from
Yeah.
red to purple to yellow to now orange.
technically
It's
this
orange.
is not my first time using it, but it's the first time that I operationally use it, so I'm still learning this piece of software.
Yep.
While we're talking about the part that broke off with the pin still, Robert was wondering if the piece that broke fell inside of the hot stage ring, would that be a big problem? Adrian, what do you think?
Well, they destacked anyway, and they had people up there, so they could have retrieved it, most likely. The good thing is the hot staging ring is kind of like curved down, right? So either way, it would have been like to the side, and you'd probably be able to relieve, like get it out there. Although I'm not even sure if it's that much of a problem, because I don't think so. The guiding rails getting roasted by raptors during the hot staging maneuver anyway, right? So they're obviously not in a problematic situation there. And they're also out almost at the edge of the ring, so I don't think it would have been a problem. It would have just reflected outwards. I don't see how that could have been bad. I mean, the worst thing about this is the fact that it came off and not the fact where it flew. We actually, I think, saw some SpaceX workers searching for it. I think there was a moment on Starbase Live where you could like see 10 people next to the tower running around and like looking at the ground. And I think what they did is they looked for that piece.
Yeah. That needs like a sound effect on that GIF there. It needs to just go yeet. We need a yeet sound effect on that, I think. But that, and then of course the important question that comes with that, Leopard's Tail, with the very serious question of, well, with that mass reduction, how much extra delta V do they get now?
1 millimeter per second.
There, see, mass improvements. There you go.
Yeah, like if they find out this part was never needed, will we see in the future a hot staging ring without the guiding pins? Like the guiding rails? Will they just be removed? We will see.
Ooh, we will see. Yes, you're on to something now. Again, the whole best part is no part.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I know. Well, in terms of the launch for tomorrow, which, again, a reminder, they have said that they are still targeting tomorrow. So that would be, what day is today? Wednesday? Tuesday?
March 6th,
Yes, that would
5:30
be
p.m.
Thursday.
Central.
March 6th at 5:30 p.m. Central, 6:30 Eastern.
Right
Exactly.
at the time that I need to finish TWIS.
Most NSF comment in the flight week ever, by the way. What day is today?
Oh, yeah. At this point, who knows what day it is anymore other than just one day to launch, which it feels like it's been one day to launch for the last 3 days, but that's another story. As of right now, though, we are exactly T-minus 25 hours to the second until the window opens for that flight.
Jay's saying L1 day and holding.
There you go. Now, of course, talking about that first attempt, though, there was the questions in regards to the reason they had to delay it. There was the whole thing with the locks. Jack G is wondering, Alex, did anything ever come about the booster problem that caused the initial hold that was called out at the 30-second mark?
Not
they initially
really.
announced it at T-minus 20 minutes, and then we got down to 40 and all of that.
Yeah. So they initially had an issue during the countdown from when Dan from SpaceX, Dan Hewitt, said on the stream it seemed like it had to do with the booster. But then later in the count, when they held the count, they solved that issue, and it was actually on the ship. the place where they found another issue, and then when it seemingly seemed like they cleared that, then they released the hold. They went down, and then automatic health check said nope, and that booster apparently was also the one that triggered those automated checks. And Elon went on X and he said something along the lines of like, they saw a drop in the pressure by 20 bar of the ground spin pressure. They destacked there you can see but this flight, and then we were 20 bars low. I guess that's where somewhere around here on ground spin start pressure. So they destacked the ship, and one of the things that it's interesting though is that we have not seen any work on the booster, at least any major work, whereas for the ship itself we saw scaffolding even being set up on the engine section, like that skirt section of the ship where all of the engines are located. They also set up a vestibule of sorts to go into the liquid oxygen tank of the ship as well. It took a few tries to put one of the ventilation hoses for that. Gravity exists, I guess. But yeah, they had a few issues with that, but they were able to get to that during the night, and by the late morning of today, they were able to wrap up all of that work, and they were ready for that sacking. But then, as we've been covering for the entirety of this Countdown to Launch show, they had those two separate issues. One first with a pin, that protection on the pin, and then the jittering of the carriage system. But now, less than 25 hours to go, we are fully stacked. That's good news.
By the way, quick shout out to my favorite moment this week, and that was the moment where the ventilation was detached for like the next time, and there was just one frustrated SpaceX worker sarcastically waving his arms in the air and like, ugh, it detached again. That was my moment. That was my moment of the week. Like, I could feel the frustration of that worker trying to attach this ventilation. I was like, dang it!
Yeah, you see it coming down, and then the close-up of him when the last part drops. Just
yeah.
That has got to be one of my favorite moments. Up there with, I think it was ahead of Flight 1 when there were two people working on either the ship or the booster, and they saw that we had a camera pointed on them, and the two of them made a heart with each other.
Yeah, that was cool.
That's up there as one of the best moments on camera.
Yeah, that was in between the two attempts.
I mean, to be fair, like for these SpaceX employees, it has to be an interesting week as well, right? They are also constantly in this, launch, not launch, destack, stack. Like, they're in the same roller coaster as we are. They just have a way more involved front seat.
True, and they're the ones whose jobs are on the line. We're just here commenting on it.
People are demanding in chat this clip, so I feel like we need people in the back channel to line that up.
I will search for it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if someone can link it to Jay, I think that'll help.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll need a ruling on it. We're gonna need some people to judge it on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of giftness. Well, here's another interesting question with all of the chaos going on today. Harry is asking, and not our Harry, but a different one. Alex, what do you think about this? How can they make alignment of the vehicles more reliable for rapid reuse? They can't be hurtling any pins if they're launching every few hours.
Well, practice makes perfect, right? That's what they say. And so the more that they do this, the more they are able to, get better at it. And so this is just the 8th flight. And they've stacked multiple times, but now lately it's being sort of like this thing of they just stack maybe once or twice every flight. So it's not a lot of stackings for the last few flights, right? And this will be the 3rd time, 4th for a Block 2 ship. But yeah, the more that they do it, the better they get at it. So and they can, optimize all of the procedures. And essentially, also, another thing is the more they do these operations, then they're able to find the places where they can remove parts of the process, right? The whole thing of best part, no part mantra. So that's the sort of thing, right? That, once they go through all of this, they can be like, okay, where things went bad, and so let's not do this again. Lessons learned, after all.
Yeah, and the other thing to keep in mind is even already, they've sped up how quickly they're able to stack this thing. I mean, we're talking under an hour to be able to stack a ship under normal circumstances. So factoring in booster and ship, you're still only talking a couple hours to go from nothing on the orbital launch mount to multiple. And if you're at the point where you can just take the booster, put it right back down after it's caught and just refuel and go again, that's even less time. So I think they'll even get that down faster. We've seen it as fast as, 35 minutes, 40 minutes in the past? So...
I see chat, of course, and one of the things that is being proposed as well is like, why don't they put lasers and things like that instead of those guiding pins? And we actually don't know if they used that, but one of the reasons why those pins are there is precisely for that last sort of 10 centimeter precision kind of alignment, right? To get that hook in the middle attached to the ship. And just think about it, like one of those processes, that algorithm that SpaceX applies, right, is dumb down the requirements. Why put some techie laser thing when something that is just physically there, an analog system, right, that already helps you down? It probably is better than having to engineer some techie thing that it might work, but it might be a lot more complicated to operate at the end of the day. The problem here was not that part. It was that, they moved it and it was not aligned already well before they needed to set it down, right? And that's what it looked like, at least from the footage. Oh, we are preparing those clips. I'm seeing them already dropping on the back channel. But yeah.
Yep. We will get that to you. In the meantime, I do want to thank a couple people here while we're pulling up that GIF. Christopher, thank you for becoming a PadRat member. Drew Nar saying we'll have to be flight VII.I patches now, so 8.1 patches. Philip saying looking forward to Starship Starlink 1-2. We were talking the other day, I think it would be 0-2 because it's not really a shell for it since it's suborbital, but still, yes, flight 2 for those. James saying, I just ordered my patch. It looks great. It says less than 30% left. And that is true, Adrian, right?
That is very much true. We are not lying with these. This is just the state. Like, it's more warning. So, yeah.
Also, by the way, someone named Timo saying, great job to all of you. Greetings from Germany. Any words you'd like to say, Adrian?
Grüße zurück.
Couldn't have said it better myself. In fact, couldn't have said it myself. So, thank you. Now, it's time to rate the GIF. Here we go. Let's pull it up and enjoy.
Perfect. Let's play it. It needs to move. It's a GIF.
Jay? Oh, there
it
we
goes.
go.
And
In slow-mo.
And what? Yay!
You can just see the defeat in their eyes.
It's so perfect.
Without even seeing their eyes, you could tell the defeat in it. And pop.
It's like detaching, and he's like,
Fully deflate.
God dang it.
And Khan.
It's perfect.
Oh my
Favorite
gosh.
moment of the week.
Yeah. I definitely need to see what the ratings are here in the chat as we go through that. The defeat, yeah. The agony on that one. I feel bad for the person.
Yeah.
But it's our entertainment at least.
Just for the people joining late here, no, this is not the part that was falling off. There's a whole 40-minute show before this where we talk about the part that fell off, and also why the title is "The Stack Was Aborted," because it was aborted very much, and it's now actually stacked again. It has been a wild ride, and if you have not paid attention to the Starship program the last about 5 hours, you're probably outdated.
Yeah, and also no launch today That was already well before any of this happened, by the way. Or at least not before that hose thing, but before the other things when they tried to stack. So first the hose, then the delay from SpaceX to tomorrow, Thursday, right? March 6th, 5:30 p.m. Central to 6:30 p.m. Central. So the launch is tomorrow. Then they tried to stack it to, get onto the full stack operations and everything and get ready for launch tomorrow. And then those two separate events happened with the pin thing and then the chopstick as well. We've been talking about that for the last 45 minutes or so. But yeah, just to wrap things up there.
Yeah, if you missed it, definitely rewind because we were kind of covering it as the news was breaking. And speaking of breaking news, this just into the NSF news desk, we actually have another update of which you will probably also make that same animated motion as that person did. And this is related actually to the ISS and the Cygnus resupply vehicle. This just in, a shipping container with the next Cygnus pressurized cargo module inside has been damaged. Now, this is the official NASA statement saying NASA's International Space Station program and Northrop Grumman are assessing potential mission impacts to the company's next commercial resupply flight currently planned for June. Northrop Grumman informed NASA during shipment of the company's Cygnus pressurized cargo module to the launch site, the shipping container sustained damage. Mission teams will inspect the module during the coming days to assess whether there is any damage and any associated impacts to schedule. In an abundance of caution, NASA will adjust the cargo manifest on the agency's next resupply mission on a SpaceX Dragon spacecraft in April to add more consumable supplies and food for the space station. The ISS program continually assesses resupply missions for technical readiness and makes adjustments to protect for shifts in its flight plan. Wow. In case, by the way, you're totally confused on all of the goings-on with all of this, everything has been posted on our social media channels, from the GIF to the things falling off to the destack to the restack to this breaking news. Make sure you check us out. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, X/Twitter, Blue Sky, and TikTok. So definitely check those out for a second. And see what you missed if you're not totally sure. That's where all of the GIFs and pictures also are coming from. Our team out in the field has been shooting this all day. Max, you saw some of his fantastic imagery, getting that super close-up of the teams on top of the hot stage ring. So definitely check that out.
I gotta say one thing though.
What?
It has been a quick
Yeah.
bit ad from my side. Like, it has been quite an interesting year if you follow the ISS, by the way. Like, this has been a wild ride in that last 12 months or so in terms of ISS news.
Oh yeah, the last article I wrote on it the end of last year was already crazy, and now add in the video we did on, or sorry, that was Justin that wrote that. We did the video on will the ISS survive until 2030. Then there was the press conference with Crew 9 yesterday. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
So,
As for
hard to keep
Cygnus
on
though,
track.
it's seen worse, so I think it's gonna be fine.
True, and a reminder that Cygnus is currently launching aboard Falcon 9 while they work on the next version of the Antares launch vehicle, the 300 variant. So, here's another $20 super chat from Brianna Matthews saying, weather tomorrow, question mark? Adam, question mark? If only we had Adam on to be able to answer the weather questions for you. I'm sorry, I don't know if we do. Huh. Adam, would you happen to be here as an omnipotent voice?
Maybe so.
There you go, Brianna, willing it into existence. Adam, how's it going?
Oh, it's a going. And as y'all can see there, I mean, today would have been a great day to launch. I mean, look at the crystal clear skies and everything else. The winds, they've been a little strong, but they're starting to taper off. So it would have been a good evening to launch. But obviously, I feel like I should have just made y'all a 7-day forecast at this rate. Because it seems like this is an ongoing day after day as we keep getting pushed. But we'll talk about tomorrow, since it sounds like they're going to try to attempt between 5:30 and 6:30 p.m. Central Time there. So for tomorrow, I'll start with the easy stuff first. Temperatures around that time will be roughly upper 60s to near right about the 70-degree mark. So not too bad, especially for this time of the year down there. The next thing is, will we see clouds? Actually, probably during the first part of the day, we might see a few passing clouds, but by the 5:30, 6:30 p.m. mark, it should be perfectly sunny. I mean, if there might be one or two little blips, one or two little clouds in the sky, maybe not even that. So we're still expecting to have good, clear conditions. Now, the winds are going to shift on us though tomorrow. So the winds are, instead of being out of the northeast like they are, ushering in some of this drier air, which is keeping the humidity down, keeping the sky a little bit clearer. We're actually going to adjust it back to the southeast, really strong actually out of the southeast, which is going to blow in that air coming right across the Gulf. And with that being said, the winds are actually going to increase. We're going to see like 15 to 20 mile per hour sustained winds at the surface with gusts in the mid 20s. So we could be seeing gusts 20, 25, 6 miles per hour. So it's going to be a gusty day. And that's including going into the evening, like into that 5:30, 6:30 mark. So we're still going to have those winds to deal with. Now, as the first attempt that they tried for the Flight 8, those winds were roughly about the same. So I feel like they're still right there within the guideline, but getting close. But now we got to talk about what I have highlighted here in blue. I feel like I'm a broken record because this time of the year, this is going to be a common thing around spring, especially here in the Great Plains all the way down into South Texas, is directional wind shear. We have storm systems that are moving through. Even though the storms might be to the north, the winds still prevail down to the south. So we're going to still have directional wind shear. We're going to have winds coming out of the southeast at the surface, and then basically going back to the west as you go aloft, even just up to 3 kilometers, it's west. So with that being said, we do have a watch item. I feel like that SpaceX will be watching the winds for tomorrow, mainly from the surface and aloft, especially that first lowest 3 kilometers, because that's where the winds are shifting, and we have to pay attention to that. Now, once again, will we know? Not really until they launch a weather balloon, and that's even what their forecasters are doing. They can look at a forecast and say, hey, we look like we're really close within margin, but we'll know once we launch that weather balloon and get the true data, like will we be within the margin? So that's basically what we're going to be looking at for tomorrow. But if we can stay within those margins and they launch a weather balloon and everything's good, I think it won't be too bad. Now, unlike today, like I was saying, with that southeast breeze though across the ocean and that strong, you will get that mixing of the air and some of that salt mist and all that. So if you're looking, from say South Padre looking parallel with the ocean, you will get some of that haze in the air that's very common when you get those strong breezes across the ocean like that. But overall, you're still going to be able to see it. You're still going to get to experience the Starship, not a lot of clouds. So I will say, maybe a watch item for the wind tomorrow. So hopefully the models will keep it steady or come down a little bit. We'll see as we get into tomorrow, but hopefully we'll stay within margin. Back to y'all. Any questions?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty windy today watching them try and stack all of that and everything. What are the limits that we're keeping an eye out for? Is it more the ground winds this time? Is it more the upper level winds?
It's actually 2 different things. So we have the surface winds, the ground winds, and we have from the surface up to a couple thousand feet in the air, up to about 3 kilometers. That's where the winds are shifting directions. That's where we have heard SpaceX even talk about, like, that's their concern, not only for the rocket lifting off, but also if you have the booster returning, I mean, that's winds that has to come back down through. And so you don't want it pushing that vehicle all over the place as it's trying to come in for a smooth landing. So they do have thresholds. I have looked at what the computer model has shown me, what I have the graphic up here, and compared it to other flights. And it is within about the same close margin as the other flights that have gone, even including that this graphic's actually very close to the actual weather balloon launch that they had with their first attempt. And it's really close. So, and I heard them before mentioning, like, well, the winds, they're a watch item. So as long as we get that true data that it's close, we should be fine. But yeah, it's from the surface up a few thousand feet that we're the most concerned with, not so much really up high, because there's always a lot of wind as you get higher in the atmosphere. But it gradually steps up, which is fine for that. It's more that lower from 3 kilometers down to the surface, that last few thousand feet, that we're more concerned about than anything.
Now, I'm trying to be nice in the way that I word this to not make any bad things happen, but just for people, I guess, who are hanging around the beach or happening to fly high in airplanes on the following day after launch tomorrow, what would the weather be like 24 hours later?
So 24 hours later, so 24 hours, it changes a little bit. We still will have some directional winds and all that, but are you more talking about for if we had to push till Friday for a flight, or someone leaving for tomorrow?
Now, I would never say those words about pushing a flight, but that's what I'm saying.
It's like, I knew I should have just did a 7-day forecast, right? Let's hope we don't get there. But I did kind of just scrub over real quickly on Friday. I didn't do a lot of deep analysis like I did for today. There's still, the winds actually will subside a little bit in the lower levels. I did notice that on some of the computer model runs. So tomorrow could be a little bit better day. But the only thing I did remember seeing, though, for tomorrow, if we have to push to that, we could start getting some clouds that mix in from the ocean and start trying to fill in during that, later afternoon, evening hour. So the winds probably won't be as, we're still going to have some surface winds, but the directional winds aloft won't be as bad. It'll step down a little bit, but me personally, I hope it just goes tomorrow because the skies look clear and there's, still, we have some times that the clouds could not form, but the way it's looking right now, there could be some clouds on Friday. So let's just hope for tomorrow.
Yeah, let's hope for tomorrow. And I know that the word you said that starts with the letter S was meant in regards to going through a calendar as opposed to what could happen to the rocket. So
exactly.
All right. Unless Adrian or Alex, either of you have any questions for Adam before we let him go?
No, I feel very informed about tomorrow and will keep an eye on the wind.
Yeah,
Yes.
one of the things, obviously, as an observer, is like, what's the visibility like? Are we gonna have any sudden, because for Monday's attempt, we were thinking that it was gonna be clear enough, but then the clouds rolled in, and we were like, like kind of very very nervous about that. That we might not have a view of the rocket as it takes off, and so I don't know. Like, do you have any information about that? Kind of very important stuff as observers, I guess.
Yeah, so like for instance, on Monday, one of the things I was forecasting is, we were I saw a lot of people getting excited that, it was kind of clear conditions in the morning. I was like, well, we're going to have, unfortunately, some of these clouds coming up from the Gulf and they're going to push through. And that did deteriorate conditions, mainly because not only did the clouds kind of come in and kind of, not as much sunlight's penetrating through, but then you're also we call it an elevated mixed layer. So basically it's a warm layer aloft a few thousand feet above the ground. That seems to trap stuff. So like if you have smoke in the air, dust particles in the air, a lot of times it'll trap it to that a little bit. So you have visibilities that weren't so well. The only thing tomorrow that I'm seeing that will cause a little bit of visibility issues, not majorly, it's very common in the ocean. I know most people that live down there will understand. When you have those strong winds blowing across the ocean, you get a lot of that kind of sea spray, salt spray. So if you're looking straight parallel down the ocean, you're going to get kind of that white haze a little bit. A lot of times in the evening, it does kind of settle a little bit as the sun kind of goes down and the sun's not reflecting off it as bad, but you'll get a little bit of that haze a little bit. So if you're looking for Margaritaville, like, a lot of our people will be, you'll probably get a little bit of that, but that's common, when you have those southeast winds coming off the Gulf there. But people that are looking from inland straight down and not parallel with the ocean, it'll be a little bit clearer for them. But overall, as you look up, it's going to be clear conditions. So, it's just when you're looking straight at the horizontal plane, looking straight at the ship, you'll have a little bit of that haze. But as you look straight up, it'll get clear.
Awesome. Adam Suker, thank you so much for coming on to the Countdown to Launch to talk about this today. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Hopefully we're go for launch on Thursday.
That's what we're hoping for. Absolutely. All right. That's Adam, everybody, helping out here with the weather at NSF, giving us an idea of what we can expect for tomorrow's attempt. Again, launch scheduled for no earlier than tomorrow, March 6th at 5:30 p.m. Central Time, which is the opening of a 1-hour-long launch window. I want to continue to thank some people here. Anonymous getting some items from the store. Stack 2, Flight 8. Steven saying thanks NSF team. Here's to a fully successful IFT 8. Alex.
I direct every question about the naming of IFT versus SFT versus everything to Ryan Caton on X. He will gladly discuss and answer all of these questions.
Very true. Hun, thank you for becoming a Capcom member. Richard saying thanks to all the team for everything you do. Signed, Boydo. Mike Smith, thank you for becoming a launch director, one of the highest levels of support that we have here at NSF. In addition to the members' multi-views, in addition to the behind the scenes, in addition to all of the things that we post here on YouTube, in addition to access to the NSF Discord with the pre and post shows for the Flame Trench, you also get your name at the end of all of the, the Flame Trenches and the NSF Lives. Boy, my brain just went there, but we really appreciate that level of support. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mike. Mergs, thank you for upgrading to becoming a Red Team member. Steve saying, Nicholas Gessler, truly a rocket man. I like that. Mick, thank you for gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Michael saying, while my wife and I were discussing first and second stage attachments, you answered the question. Thank you. Now, if that's not a lasting marriage, I don't know what is, when you can talk about first and second stage attachments together. That's true love. Craig Barry, thank you for becoming a Red Team member. Ninja Decimator, with a very interesting point, saying, did anyone notice on the SpaceX stream on Monday that one of the hosts said pew pew in regarding deploying the Starlink sims? Think they watch NSF?
That was Dan, yeah.
It must be. I mean, we did see
He also
an
said
NSF
psych
alum.
when they aborted.
Yeah. Hey, we did see an NSF alum on the stream yesterday in the form of Chris Gebhardt, so shout out to Chris.
That's true.
Indeed.
That was cool.
We still, again, while the NSF to SpaceX pipeline seems to be quite large, we love seeing everyone succeeding over there. So shout out to seeing Chris G on camera. Christopher, thank you for becoming a Red Team member. Anonymous saying, let's go, my friends. Anonymous also saying here, I just bought the patch, hoping it launches tomorrow. It's my last day I can stay in South Padre Island, fingers crossed. I think we all want to see this go tomorrow, so fingers crossed for you as well. Aiden with the $20 super chat, no message, but still greatly appreciated. Anonymous saying, thank you for all of the coverage you give. Go NASA Spaceflight, go SpaceX. WB Hokey, a name that I haven't seen a little bit, but great to see, with the $20 super chat saying, so when does HFT3, Hoppy Flight Test 3?
I think Hoppy is retired.
I don't know. Tweet at Ryan Caton at X and see what happens. And Michael Oliver upgrading to Flight Engineer, the highest level of support at NSF. Holy cow. Thank you, everybody. I mean, wow. You get all of the perks in addition to getting your name even bigger at the end, all of our love and gratitude, and a spot in the official NSF parking lot whenever that gets built. So, guaranteed spot with your name on it. Thank you. And Pacific Northwest, thank you for gifting a Red Team membership. Now, here's the thing. We talked about the weather for tomorrow's launch, obviously, which, reminder, that's targeting just about 24 and a half hours from now. That is not all that is going on tomorrow in the world of spaceflight. In fact, it is one of many things, one of 3 launches, one of 2 landings. Alex, can you fill us in on all the stuff happening tomorrow that you can also see on Next Spaceflight?
Yeah, so first, just because Jay has this queued here, so we're gonna have a moon landing. That's one of the things that we have for tomorrow. That's gonna be the Intuitive Machines mission 2. That's gonna be with the Athena lander on the moon. That coverage, NASA will start that coverage at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. That landing is supposed to be at 12:32 p.m. Eastern, so I'm not mistaken, around 6 hours before the launch happens for Starship. But guess what? There's a bunch more launches going on tomorrow as well. So we have a Falcon 9, of course, because we always have a Falcon 9. But we also have an Ariane 6. There you can see it's actually the next launch on the calendar. You can guess, I don't know, the next space flight, I guess, of the calendar. But yeah, Ariane 6 there, and then we'll have Starship. And then after Starship, we have a Falcon 9 with Starlink satellites from Florida. So quite full the day, because again, moon landing, 3 launches. It's quite active, the spaceflight world lately.
Yes, the second ever flight of Ariane 6. We have the launch of Starship, hopefully the landing of the booster and the catch, I should say, more than a landing. The landing of Athena on the surface of the moon. Then we would have Starlink launch, which again, hopefully a landing for that one on the deck of a drone ship.
This time with all landing legs arriving afterwards.
Yeah, in case you didn't know, the last one it landed, then there was a fire in the engine bay. And if you want to see what it looks like now, you can see it over on Space Coast Live, our 24/7 live cameras. It's seen better days, let's say.
Yeah, that fire melted even some of the aluminum body of the vehicle. It's horrible. It's If you love rockets, you probably need some warning.
It hurts to see.
Yeah.
But one thing that we can say is that we will see you all hopefully tomorrow. We have our stakeout stream beginning 9 hours before launch, so make sure you check this out. That is at 8:30 a.m. Eastern, 8:30 a.m. Central, 9:30 a.m. Eastern, and then we have our actual launch stream as well. That goes live 3 hours before launch, so make sure you check out all of the videos here on YouTube. You can set a notification so that you know when we go live for each of these, so that you can join us. And when I say us, I mean all of the NSF team, including the people who joined me here today. Adrian, thank you very much for joining.
Thanks, everybody. This was fun. This was quite a very unscripted episode in terms of what we will talk about. And honestly, we didn't know until an hour before. And it turned out to be quite a lot. So looking forward to hopefully a flight tomorrow. We'll see. Everything seems to be on track now again. Honestly, if you asked me that 4 hours ago, I wouldn't have believed you that we will see a launch tomorrow. So let's see.
Yeah, knock on wood. Yeah, normally for these countdown to launch attempts, we actually have a run sheet that we kind of go through of things that we want to hit, assets that we can give to Jay so we're not throwing things at him last second in the back channel. Yeah, this all happened so quickly and breaking that we did what we had to do. But thank you for bearing with us through that. Again, knock on wood, launch tomorrow. And Alex, thank you for joining us and for the telestrations.
Yeah, I guess it was, one of these very critical moments where I was like, Jay, can we work and get telestration for me? And because how do I even explain? It's already hard when the telestration is working, right? And I have to draw on top of the pin and everything, and it's still, quite complicated to explain. It's just a guiding pin, whatever. But yeah, we were working on that, and we were able to do that. I'm glad to. I don't think we can do that for tomorrow though, but I'll be tomorrow on that stakeout stream, and also on. No, I don't have it ready, Jay. I'm sorry. I already shut down the telestration thing, but yeah, I can no longer draw right now. But yeah, I'm gonna be on the stakeout stream, and also I'm gonna be on the launch stream with Adrian. So hopefully we see it. You ruined my bit, he says on the back channel. I mean, I could turn it on, but it will take me some time. So, and let's not delay this wrap anymore.
Yeah, Alex Art coming back soon. And a reminder, keep an eye on all of the pre-launch preparations before we go live by following us on all the socials: Facebook, Instagram, Threads, X, Blue Sky, and TikTok. I have to thank, most importantly, Jay Keegan for pushing all the buttons, pulling the levers, and I guess even more important than Jay are the people that you see on screen, which is our members. We could not do what we do without the support from viewers like you, so thank you. These are our launch directors and flight engineers, the highest levels of support. thank you to everyone. I'm Sawyer Rosenstein. I've been your host for today's Countdown to Launch. We will see you tomorrow for the stakeout and the launch streams for Starship Flight 8.
And here we go.
We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, planet.
Water towers fly! Yes! Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside SPD off. Say again, SPD off. It's orange! Orange 45. Oh my god! Oh my god! Decollage. Put that in the big bag,
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You bet. We don't need any more of these.